Researchers ran an experiment where they played predator sounds to animals in the wild: lion roars, leopard growls, wild dog calls. Then they played something else: human voices, just ordinary people talking. The animals fled from human voices twice as fast and twice as far as they fled from lions. Not bears, not wolves, humans. The most feared sound in the animal kingdom isn't a roar, it's a conversation. And here's what makes that genuinely strange. Lions kill animals every single day. Leopards ambush from trees without warning. Wild dogs chase prey across open plains until it collapses. But none of them triggered the same level of terror that two people having a casual conversation did. Which means the fear animals have for humans isn't just about danger. It's something older, something deeper, something that was decided long before any of us were born. And the answer changes how you see every animal you've ever encountered. Let's start with the study itself, because the details matter. In 2017, conservation biologist Liana Zanette at Western University in Canada ran what became one of the most talked about wildlife experiments in recent memory. She set up speakers at watering holes across South Africa's Greater Kruger National Park. The speakers played 4 sounds in rotation: lion, leopard, wild dog, human. Hidden cameras recorded every animal that approached. The results were immediate and dramatic. When lions roared, animals fled about 60% of the time. When human voices played, animals fled over 95% of the time. Elephants, leopards, giraffes, rhinos, animals that nothing in that ecosystem would normally threaten. A full-grown elephant weighing 6 tons heard 2 people talking and walked the other way. Not because it had been hurt by humans, not because it had been hunted, just because of the sound of a human voice. That elephant had more reason to fear a lion than a person, and yet it didn't. Zanette called it the landscape of fear. The idea that animals don't just fear what humans do to them, they fear the possibility of humans. The mere signal that a human might be nearby is enough to reshape how an entire ecosystem moves, feeds, sleeps, and survives. Not the human itself, the signal. But here's the question that sits underneath all of this. Why? Why are humans specifically so terrifying? A lion is stronger. A leopard is faster. A crocodile is more armored. A hippopotamus kills more people in Africa every year than almost any other animal. By pure physical metrics, we are not the most dangerous thing in most ecosystems. And yet every animal on every continent acts like we are. There has to be a reason. And that reason is much older than you'd expect. For the vast majority of animal evolution on this planet, large predators were dangerous but predictable. A lion hunts when it's hungry, it kills what it can catch, it ignores the rest. Animals evolved alongside these predators for millions of years and developed finely tuned responses. Run when threatened, freeze when spotted, fight when cornered. The rules were learnable, the behavior was consistent, survival was possible if you understood the pattern. Then something changed. Roughly 300,000 years ago, a new kind of predator appeared on this planet. One that didn't follow any of the old rules. Homo sapiens hunted with weapons that killed from distances no animal had ever experienced before. A lion has to get within a few feet to kill. A human with a spear could kill from 30 feet away. A human with a bow could kill from over 100 feet. There was no safe distance anymore. There was everything. Large animals, small animals, birds, fish, insects, reptiles. No other predator had that range. No other predator, and because human hunting behavior varied so dramatically between groups, seasons, and needs, animals could never learn a consistent pattern to protect themselves from us. The only safe strategy was total avoidance. And over hundreds of thousands of years, the animals that avoided humans most completely were the ones that survived long enough to reproduce. Not learned fear, inherited fear. Fear is biology. And here's where it gets genuinely extraordinary, because what Zanette's experiment revealed wasn't just that animals feared humans, it was that animals feared the human voice specifically, not human smell, not human movement, not human silhouette, the sound of language. Think about what that means for a moment. Language is something no other predator on Earth uses to coordinate a hunt. But humans do. And at some point, animals learned that the sound of human communication meant something specific. It meant organized, coordinated, intelligent, tool-using predation was either happening or about to happen. The voice became the warning signal, not the spear, not the trap. The voice. Researcher Joel Berger at the Wildlife Conservation Society spent years studying animals in regions where humans had been entirely absent for generations. Moose in Alaska that had never encountered wolves reacted with complete indifference when wolf sounds were played near them. No learned fear because no experience. But the same moose, when exposed to human sounds for the very first time, showed immediate measurable stress responses. Elevated cortisol levels, rapid heart rate, active flight behavior, with zero prior experience of humans whatsoever. The fear wasn't learned. It was already there, embedded in the biology of an animal that had never seen a person, passed down through generations like a memory the animal itself never formed, like an alarm system installed before the house was even built. But here's the part most people never think about. This fear didn't just change how animals behaved around humans, it changed entire landscapes. Ecologist William Ripple at Oregon State University has spent decades documenting what he calls the ecology of fear. Animals abandoned their feeding grounds. They shifted to nocturnal behavior to avoid daylight hours when humans were active. We reshaped continents not just with our weapons, with our presence. When European settlers arrived in North America, they described something that seemed almost impossible. Birds landing on outstretched arms, deer approaching within touching distance. But those animals weren't fearless. They had simply never encountered a human being before. The evolutionary memory was there. Within a single generation of contact, the behavior had completely transformed. The same species that once let humans walk among them fled at the first sign of human approach. They didn't need to be trained. They didn't need repeated bad experiences. The knowledge was already inside them. Contact simply switched it on, permanently. Every animal on Earth, across every continent, across millions of years of completely independent evolution, arrived at the same conclusion about humans, that we are the thing to be most afraid of. Not because we are the strongest, not because we are the fastest, because we are the most dangerous, not in the physical sense, in the strategic sense, in the organized, coordinated, tool-using, language-speaking, ecosystem-reshaping, continent-altering sense. We were the first predator in the history of life on Earth to drive other species to extinction not through competition for resources, but through directed, intentional, organized killing. And every animal across millions of years of evolution knows it. Early human groups were deeply, rationally afraid of unfamiliar humans. A stranger from another tribe represented something more dangerous than any animal, more unpredictable, more capable, more organized. We are the apex predator that other apex predators fear. We are so completely, so thoroughly, so historically, the most threatening presence in any environment we have ever entered that 300,000 years of animal evolution encoded the mere sound of our voice as a universal alarm. Next time you walk through a forest and the birds go quiet ahead of you, that silence means something. That isn't nothing. That is every living thing within earshot, activating a response older than language, older than agriculture, older than every civilization that has ever risen and fallen on this planet. A response that says, the most dangerous thing on Earth just arrived. Clear the area. You didn't raise a weapon. You didn't make a threat. You didn't do anything at all. You just showed up. And 300,000 years of animal memory decided that was more than enough. So what do animals actually see when they look at us? Not a person, not a neighbor, not just another animal in the ecosystem.